I'm Elisa, and this is my channel, and On the Mind Goes, where I discuss everything mental health. And I also am in the process of getting an official ADHD diagnosis. So if you are in that same boat or you've kind of wondered the same thing, then it might be helpful to follow along and kind of learn some things as I'm learning them. Because I know for me, just watching a whole lot of videos has helped me a lot and kind of getting to see people's personal experience. Because as I found, a lot of mental health professionals don't really know um, everything there is to know, and they don't always look at the person as a whole. And so that can be difficult. So one thing I wanted to talk about today was masking. I'm going to try to just talk. So for me, masking has been something that I think was partially um, kind of just instilled in me naturally. We grew up as military brats, and so my dad was in the army. We traveled all over, and a lot of it was every time you move. So we were maybe at a place for 4 years, and then we'd pick up and move to a new place. And every time we moved, it was kind of like you get to start over and kind of just for me, I was a big people watcher. And so I was always watching people, which I think has helped me in my writing career because, it just has. But so watching people has always been something that kind of just to figure out where I wanted to fit in. Um, growing up, you kind of want to be in with the popular group. And so that's what I found myself doing a lot in my younger years was that I would kind of sit back and observe and kind of see who were the popular kids and then try and make my way into that group and kind of like mold myself to like and be and do the things that they like to do. It wasn't until I went into high school. Oh, and another thing that I think helped me in my masking is I've always been someone who, at least in school and my jobs, like I always wanted to put my best foot forward. And so I would really try, even if I was struggling or didn't understand something, I would really try to hide that and make it look like I understood what was going on. Um, so so moving all the time. Plus my dad kind of had these rules, and I think it was to help us sort of socialize. And so he was really strict on things like you know, always kind of put yourself out there. And if someone asks you to do something with them, they're only going to ask you so many times before they don't ask you anymore. And so you need to say yes. And so that was so it kind of forced us to be social. And I think on top of that, I've always kind of gone by the beat of my own drum. And so that goes back to even like middle school and where I kind of just loved fashion and jewelry. And so that was kind of my special interest was just fully focused on fashion. And so where everyone else was maybe wearing whatever was popular at the time, I love to go find the like crushed velvet blue pants or the orange pants or whatever it was. I wanted to be different and not blend in. And this is something too that I think just I have learned that I love to thrift shop because no one else has the exact same stuff as, when you go to a thrift store, you're going to find all of these. Okay, this sucks. I'm gonna start over. Okay, so continuing. Something else that I think helped me to mask was putting myself out there and not being afraid to try new things, which was probably a good portion of my ADHD that kind of constantly was craving something new and exciting. And, that led me to doing different singing things. That also led to cheerleading. So I tried out for cheerleading in middle school. Didn't make it. But then when we moved to Pennsylvania, I tried out again. And so I cheered through my middle school years there slash high school. Um, and then cheered when I moved down to Panama, I cheered there also. So the only reason I say that is because I think that that really helped me in one, just kind of making a bunch of friends, being very social. We constantly were doing things together as a group, which really helped me sort of lower my guards to kind of, if you hang out with me enough, you're gonna kind of, I can't help but hide my real side. No, I can't help but let my real side come out. Um, and so yeah, so I think then, the more I was around people, the more I would kind of open up. And then when I was in high school, I was lucky enough to get invited to do the Cayuco race. So that is in Panama. So I lived in the Republic of Panama for from 97 to 99. Um, and that's where I went to high school and graduated. And there, one of the sports that they have is called Cayuco. And so it is a four-person boat that's made out of a Cayuco tree. Is it made out of? I don't know. But anyways, it's called a Cayuco. And so there's four people and you paddle. It's a 51-mile race through the Panama Canal. We go through like the lake and the locks and different things like that. When I did it, so previous years, they had actually gone into the locks where they like raise up the water and lower it to match the next side of the lock. But when I my first year and then my second year of doing Cayuco, we were no longer going in the locks. In my head, I just figured it was because someone like fell out of their boat and got sucked down and died. So I also like to catastrophize everything. So I was fine with that. But but so again, that helped me mask too, because here I was, we had this four-person group and we spent all of our time together. So after school, we would meet up, we'd get our boat, we'd go out and start paddling and practice. And we really got to know that group super well. So it's just it's one of those that I think once I like can make good close friends, or like in college, we had our group of friends who we had our roommates that we all lived together. There were five of us. And so again, in that smaller group where I think we all had a lot of similarities that bounced off of each other, and and so it just made it easier because, and same with like masking wise in elementary school, I had one friend, she was my best friend, and that's Lee. And so, I spent every day with her. So it was just she and I were so tight. It was either she was at my house or I was at her house. Usually I was at her house, and we were playing in the woods and doing all kinds of whatever we do. And so I always had someone to like lean on and to help me feel seen. And it's funny though, because a lot of times I notice that my mask does go up pretty easy. And so sometimes even around like my kids' friends, like I kind of bring that mask up, and I don't know why, because when it's just me and my girls, like I can joke around and be silly and dumb and all that kind of stuff. And it's fine. But when I get around other people, I just kind of like close it all up. Um, and I'm sure part of that too is because even growing up, I was always considered or called sensitive, or that I was too emotional. And so that just kind of, shuts you down a little bit and gets you to not really share those emotions as much. Plus, growing up, I think there was a lot of, I was the middle child and I was the jokester. And so I was always, I felt like my role in our family was to be the glue and to be the person who, so when like tempers would rise or, there was any sort of uneasiness, I came in with the jokes or, some way to try and lighten the mood and kind of bring it all back down, because any sort of like raised emotion, I don't do well with that. Um, And so I think part of that was I suppressed a whole bunch of kind of my own emotions because whenever I did kind of like show an emotion or a negative emotion that wasn't like super happy, I got a whole bunch of like, what's your problem? And why are you being like that? Or, stuff like that that just kind of made you feel like, oh, I'm only supposed to be happy. Um, so yeah, so that's just some of the things that kind of I can point to, at least in this video, for showing how I would mask. And I guess we'll just kind of end it there, and I'll probably have more to add when later. Okay, bye. Thank you for joining me again. I'm Elisa. And on the Mind Goes, feel free to follow that and go to my blog where you can also find some stories kind of my mental health and growing up and things like that. So yeah, so just follow along and I look forward to reading your comments and seeing what you have to say and how maybe you masked or ways that maybe you felt that you were kind of suppressed a little bit.